What we as an audience are sold on when it comes to singing competition shows is that we're witnessing the birth of the world's next superstar. Spoiler alert, that's not usually the case. But what's really weird to me is that with the two prime examples of these shows in the US, one of them has a decent track record of creating stars, and the other has produced an endless supply of nobodies. American Idol has been on since 2002, there have been 19 seasons in total, and I could honestly do a pretty hefty history lesson on regular people that started on the show, and whether or not they won, they fulfilled their dreams of becoming a musician. Season 3 winner Fantasia won a Grammy, has a platinum album, and has toured with all of these people. Season 6 winner Jordan Sparks has sold over 10 million singles with Tattoo and Nowhere making it in the top 10 of the Billboard charts. Chris Daughtry came in 4th on the 5th season of the show and soon found himself with the fastest selling debut rock album in history, selling over 1 million copies within just 5 weeks. All of these examples, including a bunch more that have similar levels of fame, are exponentially more successful than pretty much anyone that's ever been on The Voice. And I haven't even hit the big names yet. Jennifer Hudson came in 7th in season 3, and you know, now she has an Oscar, a Golden Globe, 2 Grammys, and she's one of Time's most influential people on the planet 16 years after being on the show. Idol's first ever winner, Kelly Clarkson, has won 3 Grammys and sold over 25 million albums, with songs like Since You've Been Gone, Stronger, and My Life Would Suck Without You leading the way. And finally, season 4 winner Carrie Underwood has 3 Grammys, she's broken a ton of records in the genre of country music, and in general, she's one of the highest selling musicians of all time. When it comes to the most successful contestants that started on The Voice, we've got a couple of people that I've never heard of getting Grammy noms. Morgan Wallen was actually getting pretty big until things went south for him. This winner that apparently wrote a song for the Deadpool 2 soundtrack and has sung at baseball games. This woman that I only know for the wrong reasons, and so on. 20 seasons, yes, one more than American Idol, and practically nothing to show for it. So why? Today I'm gonna go through a few of the main reasons why I think The Voice has failed in producing big name talent. This is something that has confused me for a while, and I think I've got a decent explanation. Here we go. First and foremost, The Voice is not about the contestants, it's about the judges. P.S. While I know that there have been other successful shows like these with their own examples of producing famous names, I'm gonna keep comparing The Voice and American Idol because they're what I know the best, and I don't want this to be too confusing. During American Idol's heyday, when it was a legit cultural phenomenon, its judges were not to the selling point. Don't get me wrong, they were good, and eventually people loved them because of their dynamic, but initially, they did not draw people in to watch the show. Randy Jackson was a session musician and eventually became an A&R. Absolute no-name to the American public. Paula Abdul was a choreographer, dancer, singer, and actress that was moderately famous in the 80s and 90s. She was kinda famous, but eh. And everyone's favorite, Simon Cowell, was another background guy like Randy. Nobody in the US knew him before Idol. As the show continued, the judges became more well-known, but again, it's because American Idol was like the biggest thing on TV for the 2000s. The show itself was propping up the contestants and doing whatever they could to make them shine. That's why nearly 20 years later, I can still remember that Justin Guarini came in 2nd place in the opening season. Season 2 had Kimberly Locke and Clay Aiken, the next had LaToya London and Diana DeGarmo. I can go on and on because these non-winners that did not do much after the show were basically getting star treatment as they progressed through Idol. But when you look at The Voice, the show began with the already famous country star Blake Shelton, the lead singer of a huge pop band in Adam Levine, the quote voice of a generation in Christina Aguilera, and CeeLo Green, who had both critical and at the time very recent, massive commercial success. Right off the bat, there's a huge difference between this group of not even famous judges and these ultra prominent coaches. I emphasize that wording because the way the show is branded and marketed, you'd start to wonder who's really benefiting from being on it, the contestants or the coaches. While American Idol paved the way for contestants to get #1 albums, Blake Shelton got his first #1 after the inaugural season of The Voice aired. Adam Levine was a coach for most of the show's history, and he's openly talked about The Voice making him a household name, and he's criticized how winning the show doesn't really do anything for the contestants' careers. And speaking of coaches leaving and joining the show, look at this star-studded cast of icons. On The Voice, it's just some good PR and marketing for musicians that are already megastars. I can't even comprehend how they booked Ariana Grande to do this show while she's simultaneously one of the biggest musicians on earth. P.S. To illustrate this whole point that I'm making even more, how perfect is it that two of American Idol's biggest success stories came on The Voice to get a little bit more clout? But my biggest problem with the coaches taking away the spotlight from the contestants is what happens on finale night. It's not just portrayed as aspiring singer Cam Anthony winning the show. Oh no, Blake won too. The guy with $100 million and 9 Grammy nominations just won his 8th season of The Voice, everybody. Let's clap for him. It is absolutely astonishing to me that once every 6 months, I'll wake up to news channels saying that Gwen Stefani won this season of The Voice. And, I don't know, some other kid was there too, I guess. The whole format of this show is insane. So it has to be said, the whole thing is a gimmick. American Idol was about listening to someone sing, and then they move on to the next round and they sing in Hollywood, and then they sing for live audiences, whatever. Meanwhile, here we've got these big dumb chairs, Adam Levine jumps from the top rope and presses his button, the coaches try and seduce you to join their team, then we get these neon wrestling rings. It's all very bizarre. I love how the initial branding was about how you're only gonna get judged for your voice and not your appearance. The coaches don't pick you for your look, it's all about your talent. But like, what's actually different here? The way they originally tried selling it, I wish we could have seen some truly gross looking people doing well on the show. I want some dude that looks like the Predator joining Team Miley, and Jabba the Hutt with John Legend. And even with that gimmick in mind, The Voice has never produced a weirder looking winner than Season 5 of Idol's Taylor Hicks. 609. With this whole dynamic of being on a team and doing all these extracurriculars instead of, you know, performing, there's something to be said about creating an image versus some deranged music industry boot camp. While he was a coach on The Voice, Pharrell basically said that winning isn't very important, it's all about viewing the show as an academy and learning from valuable tutors. Which, maybe I can see where he's coming from, but doesn't it sound like an issue when one of the coaches is saying that winning their competition show is not a big deal? The entire process and format of these two shows feels critical to their end goals. To me, The Voice is convoluted. It's overcomplicating things and trying to focus on too many specifics, while Idol's end goal was always, hey, let's make this person famous. Simple. Easy. Last but not least, it's just a different time. American Idol's prime golden age was from its inception to around this range of 2008 to 2012. 2008 was the last time with the original judging panel, and 2012 saw the last winner that had a couple big commercial songs. The whole genre, the hype of the singing competition show, had run its course and it felt stale. And then The Voice started. Yep, in half the amount of time that American Idol's been active, The Voice was able to catch up by doing 2 seasons per year instead of 1. So not only was the general viewing public sick of this kind of stuff by the time The Voice showed up, but they've been shoving double the amount of it down our throats ever since. Another strange aspect about The Voice that Randy Jackson of all people has pointed out before is that the show is this strange holy land for failed musicians trying to get a second chance. And while I don't think it's inherently a bad thing for people to keep following their dreams, I just think it must be hard to market yourself as the next big thing if there's a running stereotype here that the contestants are washed up. Go and browse the Wikipedia pages of a bunch of the winners of The Voice. It's kind of uncomfortable seeing them have a section about their careers before they went on the show, then they go on the show, rebrand, and act like it's their first shot at this. It's awkward. For example, Cassidy Pope is one of The Voice's biggest acts, and she's currently doing her thing in the country world. But a few years before the show, she was performing at Warped Tour with her pop-punk band. In a world where television culture feels like a fever dream, and the music industry is already trying to manufacture success, superstar musicians smashing a button for people that were already kind of famous is just odd. With access to YouTube, TikTok, social media, and all that stuff, going on a show like The Voice to try and seek fame feels more useless now than ever before. Instead of going on a show where they only care about the coaches, they put you through some convoluted boot camp, with nobody caring for the past decade anyway, and strong evidence that they have never made a superstar, you're better off doing just about anything else. Thank you for watching that video. If you want to support the channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me on social media at RenshawHS. You can buy my merch, support my Patreon, and thank you again. I'll see you soon.